Claire did not plan to notice Ethan that day, but she did the moment he walked into the community center with a tired posture and eyes that carried too many unfinished thoughts. The center was busy, voices echoing, phones ringing, chairs moving, yet he stood still near the door as if unsure whether he belonged there. Claire was used to people like him, not broken, just worn down by life, but something about his quiet hesitation pulled at her attention. When she asked if he needed help, he looked surprised, then relieved, and said yes in a voice that sounded like it had not been used much lately. He explained quickly, not wanting to take her time, that he had recently moved back to town, that his career had stalled, and that he did not know where to begin again. Claire listened without interrupting, already flipping through ideas in her mind, already deciding she could spare a little time. She told herself it was only a favor, nothing more, the kind she had given many times before. She helped him fill out forms, pointed him toward resources, and suggested they meet once more to polish his resume. Ethan thanked her with a sincerity that felt heavy, like gratitude mixed with embarrassment, and when he left, Claire noticed the room felt quieter than before. That night, instead of forgetting him, she found herself thinking about the way he had nodded as if every small encouragement mattered, about how carefully he chose his words. The next morning, she emailed him suggestions she had worked on after hours, surprising even herself with the effort. He replied almost instantly, thanking her again, asking if she could look over one more thing. Claire agreed without thinking. Their second meeting moved faster, smoother. Ethan seemed more relaxed, even smiled once, and shared pieces of his story in short bursts, a job that ended suddenly, a relationship that faded, a sense of being left behind while everyone else moved forward. Claire did not push him to explain more, but she felt the weight of those words and recognized the feeling all too well. She offered practical advice, kept things focused, yet there were moments when their eyes met and something unspoken passed between them, something neither acknowledged. When the meeting ended, Ethan hesitated before leaving, then asked if it would be okay to talk again soon, not about work, just to figure things out. Claire paused, knowing she should set a boundary, knowing she had learned this lesson before, but she nodded anyway, telling herself that listening did not cost anything. As she watched him walk away, shoulders slightly less hunched than before, she felt a quiet pull she could not name. She reminded herself that helping was what she did, that this was temporary, that people came and went. Still, later that evening, when her phone buzzed with a short message from Ethan saying he appreciated her more than he could say, Claire stared at the screen longer than necessary, feeling something open inside her that had been closed for a long time. She did not know it then, but that small favor, offered without thought, had already begun to change the shape of both their lives. What began as one meeting slowly turned into many, and before Claire realized it, helping Ethan had become part of her routine. They met in coffee shops with cracked tables and soft music, walked through quiet streets lined with old trees, and talked in short breaks between her work and his job search. The pace of their conversations was quick, honest, and direct, as if neither wanted to waste time pretending. Ethan improved with every meeting. His answers grew stronger, his voice steadier, his confidence returning in small but visible steps. Claire watched this change with quiet pride, telling herself she was only doing what anyone kind would do, yet she noticed how she adjusted her schedule for him, how she remembered his favorite coffee, how she listened more carefully than she needed to. Ethan began to rely on her presence, not in a desperate way, but in a steady one, like someone leaning on a wall they trusted would not fall. He shared more of his past in pieces, never asking for sympathy, only understanding, and Claire gave it freely, recognizing parts of her own story in his pauses and half-smiles. There were moments when laughter came easily, surprising both of them, and moments when silence felt comfortable instead of awkward. One evening, as rain tapped against the cafe windows and the streetlights blurred into soft shapes, Ethan spoke without his usual caution and admitted that her help had done more than guide him toward work. It had made him feel seen again. Claire felt that admission settle deep inside her, stirring emotions she had carefully kept quiet for years. She wanted to pull back, to remind him and herself that this was not what she had agreed to, yet she stayed, listening as he talked about losing direction, about waking up each day unsure of his worth. She did not offer grand advice, only steady words and honest attention, and Ethan seemed to draw strength from that alone. As weeks passed, their conversation stretched longer, drifting beyond plans and goals into fears, memories, and small dreams neither had spoken aloud before. Claire noticed how Ethan looked at her now, with warmth and trust, and how that look made her heart beat faster than she wanted to admit. She also felt a quiet warning inside her, a reminder of past moments when giving too much had left her empty. Still, she continued, because stopping felt harder than moving forward. The help she once thought would be brief had grown into something deeper, something that filled her evenings and followed her thoughts home. And though neither of them named it, both sensed that this connection was changing shape, moving beyond guidance into something neither was fully prepared to face. The call came late in the evening, and the excitement in Ethan's voice was impossible to miss as he told Claire he had received a job offer, his words fast and unsteady, filled with relief and disbelief. Claire felt a rush of happiness for him, the kind that comes when effort finally turns into reward, and she agreed to meet him without hesitation. They walked along the river where city lights reflected on moving water, the night calm but charged with emotion. Ethan spoke quickly about the interview, the offer, the fresh start, and Claire listened, smiling, proud of how far he had come in such a short time. Yet beneath his excitement, she sensed something heavier waiting to be said. When he finally slowed, his voice softened, and he admitted that while the job felt like a win, it also scared him. He explained that success made him realize how much her presence had mattered, how she had been there when he felt invisible, how her support had given him something steady to hold on to. Claire felt her chest tighten as she realized this was no longer about work or advice. Ethan stopped walking and looked at her, not with uncertainty, but with honest vulnerability, and said he did not want to lose what they had, that he did not want her to fade out of his life now that things were improving. The question in his words was clear even without being spoken, and it caught Claire off guard, stirring memories of past moments when closeness had turned into disappointment. She felt torn between the urge to protect herself and the pull towards something real and present. She wanted to respond quickly, to smooth the moment with calm words, but she could not ignore the weight of what he was asking. Instead, she stayed quiet, letting the sound of water fill the space between them as she searched for clarity. She understood then that Ethan was no longer asking for help in the way he once had. He was asking for trust, for consistency, for a place in her life that went beyond guidance. The realization made her heart race and her thoughts scatter, because accepting meant risk, and refusing meant walking away from something that had already begun to matter deeply. She told him she needed time, not as rejection, but as honesty, and Ethan accepted that answer with patience that surprised her. As they parted that night, Claire felt the weight of the decision ahead of her, knowing that whatever she chose would change the path they were on, and that the simple act of helping had led them both to a moment neither could undo. The days after that night moved quickly yet felt heavy for Claire, her mind filled with questions she could not silence, but she knew avoiding Ethan would only delay what needed to be said. When they met again by the river, the air felt calmer, as if both had accepted that honesty was no longer optional. Claire spoke first, choosing clear words instead of safe ones, admitting that she had grown close without planning to, that she was afraid of repeating old pain, and that she could not promise certainty or ease. She explained that helping had slowly turned into caring, and caring had begun to feel like standing at the edge of something real. Ethan listened without interrupting, his attention steady, and when she finished, he answered with the same openness she had given him. He told her he was not looking to be saved, that he had learned to stand on his own again, but that he valued what they shared and wanted to move forward together, honestly and patiently. His words were simple, but they carried respect, and Claire felt the tension inside her loosen. She realized that what he was asking for was not a guarantee, only a chance to build something slowly, without pretending or pressure. They talked about boundaries, about balance, about allowing space while staying connected, and for the first time, Claire felt that giving did not mean losing herself. As the city lights reflected on the water, they walked side by side, not rushing, letting the quiet confirm what they had chosen. There were no dramatic promises, no sudden changes, only a shared understanding that they would try, knowing both the risk and the reward. Claire felt a sense of peace she had not expected, understanding that love did not always arrive loudly or demand certainty, but sometimes grew from patience, respect, and the courage to stay present. As they parted that night, she knew their story was no longer about help given or received, but about two people choosing to walk forward together, aware of their pasts, hopeful about their future, and ready to see where that choice might lead.